Hi, Jimmy. It's Rebecca. I hope that you're doing well. Excuse me, I am losing my voice a little bit, so bear with me. I appreciate you taking the opportunity to do the recorded reading with me. I had hoped that I was clear when I was putting up my information that it was going to be a recorded video that I send to you through an unlisted YouTube link. Um, but I always overthink things, so I'm not sure if that was clear or not. But this is one of the ways that I'm going to be doing readings, at least for now, especially while I'm still working full time in my job during the week. Part of creating the business is not only to step into the more spiritual aspect that is coming through, and it's getting harder to keep it in the box when it comes to mental health. And the ethics and guidelines that may come with practices that are approved and things like that versus things that can be helpful outside of the mental health practice. And I have been in the field for over 22 years, so it's time for me to hang that mental health hat up and also to create space where I can balance my energy a little better so that I can have the ability to put forth energy into my work and what I'm doing, and then also have energy for myself, my family, and friends. So finding that balance is really hard right now because I'm trying to create the business and do this at the same time. So all the services are recorded except for the ones that say that they are face-to-face or video conference. The rest of them will say that they are a link. So I hope this is okay, and I apologize if in any way that was not clear on the website. But if it wasn't, please let me know because I do appreciate feedback, and I want to make sure that I'm being as clear as possible when I am speaking with people. But let me get started. So there are stones that came forward for you when I was doing about 30 minutes of preparing, because I do put the time into these. I put about 30 minutes in, no matter whether I am meeting people through video chat, whether I'm recording your video, or even meeting face to face. You get the same attention and care as you would if it was a face to face meeting. So here we have the time that I started was 1:28 p.m. And actually, what time is it now? 1:59. So yeah, about exactly 30 minutes. With that, your question was that you're wondering if you will soon meet people with the same mindset of spirit and Mama Earth focused, empathetic, and peaceful like yourself. And so I used a little ethically sourced Palo Santo to just kind of cleanse the space and promote calm. The stones that came to me, the first one that caught my eye when I was calling in, I call in what I call my big four: God, my angels, guides, and ancestors. I also call on any ancestors, guides, angels for you. This is a rose quartz heart, and so that was the first thing that came to my mind. And so we're looking a little bit at the heart chakra as something to focus on. The other two stones heart chakra focused are Kumbaba jasper. Oh, excuse me. And then also unakite. So with the unakite, you can see there's this little bit of kind of pink peachy color to it. And so the heart chakra was definitely one of the things that is coming forward as I focus on you. The other thing coming forward is solar plexus chakra. So we have some tiger eye that really popped into my mind when I was thinking about or focusing on you. This carnelian heart that I had up in the last reading that I did was sitting on the desk, and I left it there. This is a sacral chakra stone, and I wasn't sure, so it's not in the notes that I had originally written down, if this was something that would come forward, but it feels like this is going to be important as well because of the impression that came through. So I've listed the decks that I will be using that felt just right for your reading, which is the Crow Tarot, the Chakra Wisdom Oracle, Haunted Echoes Oracle, and the Cosmic Record deck. So we'll go through those as we do the reading. Initial impressions, and this is why this carnelian heart came forward. When you release the worry of how, focus on embodying and doing things that set your soul at ease, you will naturally make the connections you seek. Release the expectations of what the process and journey will look like. Use discernment. So the reason the sacral chakra is coming up is because it feels like what I'm hearing, what I'm getting, what I'm seeing is that in order for you to find kind of your tribe, however you want to put that, it's being able to join into the things that you feel connected to. So whether that is, I just saw like a sound bath. So sometimes people will create spaces where they have the different singing bowls, and people come in and they may have like their yoga mats or blankets or things like that that make them comfortable, and they kind of lay there as somebody plays the different singing bowls and creates this frequency and vibration that promotes calm. And then another thing I'm seeing is I used to go to these shamanic drumming circles. It's been a while since I've been to one, just because the place that I had been going and doing that at, they haven't done it in a while. There's another place I just haven't had the time to be able to get to, but I'm seeing that as well. Like, these are examples of things that can bring you to that sense of community, that can bring you to people who will be more like-minded with you. So drumming circles, or there are some places where they do meetups of people who are more focused on nature, metaphysical, spiritual, different things like that. So whether it's through Facebook events, which can be a good place to look for things, or even if it's just looking around in your local community. You said you just moved there, but I feel like even just like I'm seeing you even just walking down the street and taking in different things. So you may want to search and see if there are some metaphysical shops near you, and just look for any flyers and things that they may have, or talk to the people at the shop, because usually they'll have some knowledge of local events and things. But it feels like putting yourself out there is huge, because there are people who are focused on the same things that you are. Just keep in mind, because I'm seeing right now comments and Facebook groups and things, even a group that may seem to be a really good space, sometimes it can get flooded with negative people. So this is where that use your discernment comes from. Whether it's people you're meeting in person or people you're connecting with on social media or whatever it is, making sure that if it doesn't feel right, you don't allow yourself to feel pushed into. And I think that's where this solar plexus chakra is coming in, that you don't allow yourself to feel like you're pushed into it. One of the big things when it comes to spiritual growth and really finding people that align with you is being able to honor your intuition. We all have intuition. It's our instinct. It's part of our natural survival skills. And sometimes we push away the way that we feel because other people may say, oh, well, this person, they're a good person. This is a good person to go to. And so then if you think, I don't really feel connected to this person, you may start to doubt yourself. And when you do that, that's when we start getting connected with people that we're not in alignment with, and we're in situations that are not good for us, that we don't like, or it is not helpful. So let's go ahead and start pulling some cards from the Crow Tarot deck and see kind of what we get. So interestingly enough, the Queen of Wands was laying the incorrect way on the deck, and the Queen of Wands is my card for like the ultimate confidence, which comes into play with that solar plexus chakra. You see I've got the solar plexus symbol and yellow candle. Yellow is the color of the solar plexus. Those tiger eye stones go with the solar plexus. So that's the perfect thing to be sitting the wrong way to catch my attention, is the Queen of Wands, because it feels like that you need to allow yourself to be confident about who you are. Don't worry about what other people, even if they're part of the woo-woo spiritual community or whatever, community you step into. that doesn't mean that everyone is going to connect with you. And what you want to find are those authentic connections. And the way that we do that is being authentic with ourselves. So you don't have to change anything about yourself. That's where the heart chakra, the green, is coming in. And the green stones, as well as pink, pink and green are heart chakra colors, that rose quartz, is that you need to embrace yourself, and then the people will come to you. You will just automatically meet people who are of like minds, and it will come together. So we're going to set that Queen of Wands up here, because even though she did not pop out of the deck immediately, she was turned over, or when I was shuffling through the cards. And with tarot, or tarot, however people want to say it, I say tarot, just understanding that gender doesn't matter. So it may say queen, that doesn't matter. It is the energy of the card, the energy that you're being called to embrace, not necessarily that it's male, female, queen, king, or anything like that. And apparently my husband is doing some drilling, so if you hear that in the background, and it was 11:11 just a second ago on the time, then that is what that noise is. I also have dogs, so they may bark and things like that at some point. So let's get to this. And if you feel called to take a deep breath and kind of recenter yourself, you can. All right, God, angels, guides, and ancestors. What cards need to come through for this message to help Jimmy to understand how to be able to find his tribe, to find the people that he vibes with? What do we need to focus on? All right, so already we know confidence from that Queen of Wands. What else? What's going on? Or what is something that needs to be looked at for this to happen? Oh yeah, 10 of Wands. So whether this is past relationships, it feels like past relationships, friendships, you've carried the burden of these situations. The 10 of Wands, it does mean completion. 10 typically means completion in the tarot, but at this tarot, I go back and forth, I guess now. But with this bundle of sticks, it's like you've packed up the wands, like all of the situations, all of the things that you were passionate about, or people you were passionate about, that it felt like it just didn't work. And interesting, I just realized there's an orange sash around this. It's orange and yellow, which we talked about, the orange of the carnelian and the yellow of the tiger eye. So with this, around this bundle of wands, there's the sacral chakra, which is that passion, creativity, kind of what sets your soul on fire. You know, with wands, that's things that you're passionate about, things that it's got that fiery energy. And then with the yellow, with that solar plexus chakra, which is that yellow, it's kind of that anxiety, that confidence, being able to not overthink things. And it feels like you put a lot of thought and a lot of passion into the relationships that you've had in the past, the people you've tried to connect with in the past, but it hasn't always gone the way that you wanted. And I feel like you were the one who would typically put your needs and desires and wants, or even your thoughts, on the back burner and try to, not necessarily even trying to fit in, but just not to rock the boat, not to, like, I see kind of this adaptation, which isn't a bad thing, except for sometimes it feels like we lose ourselves because we're trying so hard to meet the expectations of others. And it feels like that's something that's important here. I'm seeing the shadow underneath the bundle that's coming forward, and it's like the shadow is kind of the energy of the past. So as you're taking these with you, you've got to let it go. This needs to go into the past, because you cannot carry with you all those hurts and things that have happened in the past. Those wands need to be released. The 10 says this is complete. And I feel like I just heard buried in earth. Like just kind of putting it to bed, being able to understand that whatever's happened before, the people that you thought you had a connection with, but you didn't necessarily have a deep connection with, or they couldn't match the same energy that you did, or they didn't value you and your beliefs. Those are things that need to be released. We've got the Ace of Cups here. There's a lot of lotus flowers on this card. And then we've got the water in the cups. Of course, cups, emotions, water, emotions. So with the lotus flowers growing up through the mud and the sun being covered up by the cup, and then you've got these clouds around it, it feels like that there have been times where you felt like you had that Ace of Cups, like you had this thing that you wanted, this emotional stability. There's 2 crows in here, so I'm feeling like this partnership that felt right. And the interesting thing is we've got this ball up here of light, but then we've got the sun down here behind it. It's almost like I'm feeling like, because I'm seeing this, even though I feel like it's feeling like the moon, which can be things hidden or releasing anxieties. It feels like someone's seeing this as a sun, and then here's the sun. And this crow is looking down, this crow is flying. So it's almost like 2 different perspectives. So feeling like, and I've not read the Ace of Cups this way, but this is the way it feels. Feeling like you think you're on the same page, and you may even be describing the same things, but you're talking about 2 different things. That it didn't feel like it was, like it felt like it was close, that you were around people or a person, that it felt like it was really close to what you wanted or what made you feel comfortable. And seeing this crow in the background, I'm hearing background, like even, but in the background, it's just this sense of unease, or like something's just not right, something's off. There's a lot of clouds in this too, and I hear cloudy thinking. Like it just felt like things were not making sense. It wasn't adding up. So that's kind of the past energy, and the lotus flowers growing through the mud, like feeling kind of difficult. Like it can be beautiful, but at the same time, it just felt like it never worked out the way that you felt it should. On the surface, things would look like they were great, but underneath it just felt really difficult. Whether this was anxieties, worries, doubts, or disconnection for you or for someone else, it just didn't connect right. It didn't add up. The emotions weren't matching. And then the emotions were all kind of piling up and coming into this space at the bottom, just like pulling up underneath as they poured out. I've just heard pouring your heart out, like you're putting all this emotion and energy into things, and I feel like you weren't getting the same in return. What else? And it makes sense that the confidence and concern about finding people who match your energy or who are on the same page as you, having the confidence that you're going to be able to do that is definitely something that would be a concern, because we begin to not trust ourselves because of the relationships or friendships that we've gotten into in the past. And it's reminding yourself that you're in a different space now and you don't have to do things the same way. I feel like at some point we're going to have boundaries coming through. That's a lot of cards. So we'll go ahead and look at these. So with the Two of Swords, when I look at this card, there's the 2 swords, yes. And they are there in front of this crow. And the crow has the swords, but the crow also has a blindfold on. And there's no one else there. You've got these rocky mountains. So again, it feels like things are difficult. It feels like being stuck. But understanding that sometimes we're the ones that keep ourselves stuck because of everything that you feel like has happened before in relationships that didn't work out, friendships that didn't work out. It's having that blindfold on, because it's hard for us to open our minds because we're so full of the thoughts and emotions of what happened in the past. This 10 of Wands here. Worrying about what happened in the past. And that's keeping you stuck in this energy where it's like, I want to develop friendships, but I'm kind of afraid to do that. So I'm also going to like really try to focus on what I think I want. And that's going to keep you stuck. The energy in this card you can see is very dark. There's lots of clouds, mountains. Even this area right here looks like snow, like it's cold, it's lonely. This crow is out there on their own. They've got the swords, kind of that defensiveness. And so the only way to get through that is to remove the blindfold. The 10 of Swords was the next card that had flown out because there's like a pile that came out at one time. And with the 10 of Swords, again, part of the reason that these swords are in your hands as you're standing there with the blindfold on is it's like feeling like you had the wool over your eyes, like you were taken advantage of. So the blindfold came before you started narrowing your focus. You narrowed your focus because of it, but I feel like that blindfold feels like in this situation where I talked about the perspectives being different, that it was like you wanted to believe what other people were saying, but they weren't following through. And each time that they wouldn't follow through, it would feel like another wound. Or whenever they wouldn't be able to match your energy, or you were giving more than what they would give, it felt like another stab, another wound, another time that you had put in this effort, put in this time, put in this energy. And this is why that heart chakra is coming through so strong. And so it's again with like this 10 of Wands. These are both 10s. You've got two completions, but you have to choose it. This is the thing. This is why in tarot, past and present are pretty accurate. Future is, I always say, a possibility or a potential, because if we choose to stay in the place that we're at, mentally, physically, emotionally, or otherwise, that is your outcome. That's what's going to happen. You will stay in that place. If we choose to do something different and move forward, then you create other possibilities. And those possibilities depend on the choices that you make. So just keep that in mind. But with both of these, with the 10 of Wands and the 10 of Swords, it's releasing those past patterns. So however you interacted and reacted to others, whether it was letting them have a pass, not speaking out, or waiting to speak out and then getting frustrated and either leaving or like withdrawing your energy, or getting passive aggressive or upset. Because the thing is, obviously I don't know you, but it feels like boundaries, and I think I've said that earlier, is really important for you. Because you don't want to feel like you've been taken, like I keep hearing taken advantage of, taken advantage of. You don't want to feel like you've been taken advantage of. So then we got the 2 of Pentacles. There's a lot of 2 and 10 in here. We've got the 10 of Wands, the 2 of Swords. Well, Ace of Cups came before that. I put it in the wrong place. Then the 2 of Swords, then the 10 of Swords. And now we've got the 2 of Pentacles. So with this, Pentacles can mean money. So maybe you're trying to decide where to put your resources. Whether that's focusing on an area, a group, a course, or something to kind of, it could even be sometimes those activities that I mentioned earlier do cost money, like the drumming circles and things like that. Like trying to decide where you put your resources to build up these friendships. Because here are the crows in the background. And these are the people that you're like, oh, I think I want to connect with them. But how do I connect with them? And it feels like with the 2 of Pentacles, usually the energy I get is kind of juggling and trying to figure out what to do, what decision to make. And so I feel like it's, and I'm stopping because there's something with the infinity symbol of this that's coming through. And there's also an eye in the clouds by the other crows. So with this infinity symbol, I feel like it's focusing on not feeling like you always have to do something in order to achieve X, Y, and Z, whatever that is. If that's achieving a friendship or relationship, like I said, that adapting and masking, you've got to just be yourself, because these crows, these people, they either are going to match your energy and just be who they are when you are who you are, or they're not. You don't want to try to always mold yourself or be what you think is expected or what you feel like fits the mold. Like, even for me, I tell people, even when it comes to Reiki or something like that, learn the basics, learn the history. That's great. But as far as like what stones go together, what stones you need, what you say, what you do, it's all intuitive. It's all about what resonates with you and what you want. And that's weird that when I was saying that, my camera dimmed. I don't even remember what I was saying at that point, but if you caught it, check, because there may be something that I said in that moment that needs to be emphasized. I don't know. So that was interesting. But when we look at these clouds, I'm going to try to get it where you can see it really well. Look right. I'm not good with this ring light. See if I can get this in. All right, here we go. Look right here. That looks like an eye. And then with the swirl, it almost looks like, what is it? The Eye of Ra. I'm feeling, because this is really close to these crows right here. So again, it's you being able to use your intuition and to trust yourself. This Queen of Wands energy is huge. Trusting yourself, trusting your intuition. If these people, even if they look like exactly what you feel like you want to represent or where you want to be or things like that, if the energy is off, trust your intuition and say, that's not it. Those are not people that I want to be around. We've also got the Seven of Wands. So with this, this is what I'm seeing in this as I'm looking at it is more that you don't want a situation where there's somebody who's up here trying to act like they are the leader and that they're better and everyone else is down here. So, and the Hierophant is the next card. So sometimes this can be like a teacher or a leader, but I'm feeling a warning of caution with this. If you do go for a course or find someone who seems like they're really knowledgeable, and you feel like you connect to them and they're going to kind of show you the way or things like that, this I feel like is where that used discernment came from in the initial impressions that I'll send you a picture of or upload into the video. However, my camera does not usually do that, but it dimmed again. But I feel like that's it's part of the warning. Like, if something feels off, if you feel called to somebody as a guide, whether that's spiritual or someone in person, but then something feels off or they're presenting themselves as somebody who's going to like really show you the ropes and help you, be careful. Because it feels like this person that's supposed to be in a position where they're helping you, and usually I see the Hierophant as a good thing. Maybe they're trying to provide counsel or advice or something. They aren't doing it from a place of like meeting people where they are and helping them. They're doing it from a place of trying to gain like power, adoration, followers, things like that. It's not authentic. Like, I'm getting this lump in my throat and it just feels kind of like sleazy, disgusting. Like, if you've seen the characters in movies where they come in and they think they're all like everything, you know, what is it we used to say back in the, all that in a bag of chips or whatever. Like, they act like they are the authority on things. And this person, they may not even have that overt of an energy that they're putting off, Use your discernment though, because something is not right with this person. So I don't know if you've already met this person or you will meet this person, but their energy just, oh, I gotta take a sip of water. Their energy is just not good at all. Stay away from that person. Stay away. Anything else that wants to come out of the deck, or is it time to move on to the chakra cards? I feel like it's time to move on to the chakra cards, but we'll do one more shuffle. Yeah. Whoever this person, their energy is just not good at all. Not good at all. All right. So with the Chakra Wisdom Oracle deck, we're going to be looking at some of the things that may be helpful or holding you back, things that you may need to release. So just kind of expanding on some of the messages that have already come through the tarot. Excuse me, I got the hiccups now. I met a medium recently who I was like, I'm always hiccuping, and she said, yeah, that's just part of the channeling. And I was like, I don't know, but it hurts. We're going to take another grounding breath, because the energy of this person, and you'll feel it. Even if it doesn't seem like everybody else is going, oh, they're this great person, they're so knowledgeable, and you feel off, trust that, because this person, it may not present that way to other people, but something's off. Like the back of my head is just hurting. This is not a good energy. You need to seek, like I just saw the angel wings. You can see them behind the crow in the back there. Seek someone that really seems authentic. Yeah, I see the key as I say that, the key down here. And that's going to be the key, is finding someone authentic. Because this person, even if other people aren't following this person who's more authentic, that's okay. Because, like I said, it's not about the follows. It's about the authenticity, the connection. Finding somebody who really is vibing with you. All right. So what do we need to know from the chakra deck? What are the areas to really focus on to really drive these authentic connections, this search, this journey to find other people that are empathetic and peaceful? All right, let's see. Maybe I'm not asking the right question. What does Jimmy need to focus on to help with his own healing? Is that the question? Maybe not. Usually I get something pretty quickly, so we may need to go to another deck and come back to this one. All right, we're going to do 2 more shuffles. Oh, that one flew out, passion, and I've been saying passion quite a bit, and I talked about that with the carnelian. So even with this person, you can see that she's reading to this older person, and as she's doing that, she's glowing in orange, that sacral chakra, that passion, that creativity, that really embodying yourself, that self-worth. Like she's in a good space as she's reading from this book. And notice that the book is purple. So the reason I say that, purple being associated with, like, it's a violet color, so crown chakra. And then this chair is more of that indigo third eye chakra. And this person, they're in this room. They may not even be able to get out that much because they're older. Not to say older people can't get out, but there's a really big emphasis on this window with like everything outside. So even though this person may feel like they're kind of stuck in some ways and they can only see things from the outside, here's this person that embodies that feeling, that glow, that energy from the outside. So I feel like it's focused, like narrowing your focus, but it's not focusing on everything and the world and like not having this big focus of finding a lot of different things or a lot of people, but focusing again on the people that you feel this energy and this connection with. And that's, like I said, being able to find people that feel true and authentic and like home is what I keep hearing. People that feel like home. Even if you aren't feeling comfortable with yourself, being around them, it's going to make it feel like that sunny day that's in the background there. Anything else from the chakra deck? What is something else to focus on? And I'm noticing with that sunny day, it's not that there aren't clouds in the sky, because there are. And there are mountains in the background too. Goodness gracious. I said sacral chakra, you know, there was a reason I kept the carnelian up, and sacral chakra is what you're getting. But there are still clouds in the background here and a mountain, but that mountain looks completely different than the mountain in this photo. The mountain in this photo. The mountain in this photo. So if you focus on the people that feel light, feel connected, that you can just be yourself, that you don't feel like you have to think about it too much, it's gonna feel like that sunny day, like home. So guilt is the card that popped out, and when we look at this, you've got this person with a halo, and they're pressing these this shirt or this clothing and things like that. They're not even looking out the window, which there's not a sunny day in that window anyway. They're focused on doing what they need to do. They're a kind person. They even have a yellow glow around them, but they're focusing on doing the task. Then you've got this person in the back, and that person in the back, they're sitting there. They've got this drink in front of them. They're kind of out of it. They're just not even paying attention to the fact that this person is doing all the things. And when I look at this, because if you notice, there's a chain here and a handcuff. So this is telling you to get out of that mindset that you have to be and do everything for everyone, that you have to focus on everyone else. Because yes, it may look like that you're this good person and you have this halo. And we've been taught sometimes, we've been socialized to believe that if you're not doing something productive, you're being lazy. But it's finding the balance between the two. Because you can't always be the one doing all the things, thinking of all the things, doing the things that feel like the expectation. Sometimes you're going to have to take some time where maybe you feel like it's a lazy day or something, but you're doing some self-care. And it's really finding that balance, because if you're always trying to put on this hat of being the person who plays into all the expectations, always doing the right thing, you are going to wear yourself out, and you're going to be in this energy where you cannot do things whether you want to or not. So it's honoring yourself and not feeling guilty for focusing on what you want, who you want to be around, what are things that you want to do. Because the more you put yourself on the back burner or you try to follow what other people want to do, even if you love them, the more guilty you're going to feel, and the more you're going to be in these relationships where it feels like this weight that you've been carrying, and people not putting in and matching the same energy and doing things that are hurtful. Anything else from the chakra deck? One more shuffle with that one. And you see it's already 38 minutes. I am not good at doing shorter readings. I had even thought about not putting 15-minute options up because it's just not something that is my greatest asset. Because I want the full story. I want to know what all needs to happen. So we're going to move on to the Haunted Echoes deck. It's hard for me to shuffle right now. I have an elbow injury. All right. Oh. So this one just flipped over. We'll go ahead and go with it. Mental block. Fear of failure keeps you stuck. Break free from limits to unlock your potential. So fate, reform. And that's what we were talking about. Those mental blocks are the fear that if you don't do things a certain way, or you don't do things as people expect them, or you think they expect them, sometimes it's even just perceptions of what others expect of you, that if you don't do everything right, that you're going to fail or these friendships are going to fall through. And so you have to let go of that mental block. You have to release those thoughts because they're not helping you at all. There isn't a certain way that you are going to gain these friendships. It's going to be just interacting, engaging, doing things in whatever way feels right to you, and really focusing on the people where you don't feel like it's hard work or that you're having to constantly monitor who you are, what you say, what you reveal, all of those things in order to build those relationships. So the next one's whirling winds. Amidst chaos, find your anchor in past experience, rise above the turmoil. Rise above the turmoil. So that's making me think about, where is it at? The first card again, the wands, the 10 of wands. So amidst the chaos, there's a lot of chaos in a lot of these cards, and especially this one, or even the 2 of Pentacles. There's chaos. And finding your anchor in past experience. So the anchor is letting go of these things. Being able to know that you don't have to stay in these energies where it feels like you just depleted yourself. You don't have to be in this space where you feel like you're tied to a certain way of living and things that you have to do. You've got to let those things go. Once you do that, then these swirl of emotions, it'll get a little easier, because when you have people in your life that it feels like you don't have to work as hard with, it's going to feel so much better. You may not have as many people in your life, but that's okay. When they say quality over quantity, I mean, it's really, that is the truth. All right, anything else from this deck? One more shuffle. Vanishing steps. Revisit the path you took to find inspiration again. Look to the future. So I feel like what that's talking about is where I've said with the past things, it's understanding and recognizing how you've interacted in relationships before, and recognizing where people took advantage of you. But how can you set those boundaries? How can you do things differently so that you don't get into those situations again? And part of that is being authentic to yourself, asking yourself, what are the things that I want in relationships and friendships? What are the things I don't want? What are things that I can deal with? What are things I can't deal with? And if something happens, being able to speak up and advocate for yourself. All right, so we're going to now look at the Cosmic Record deck. And this is just going to solidify that message. And I don't often focus on like a specific timeline for things because, as I said, sometimes times can change because you may make a decision that changes the path. But we'll go ahead, because I'm feeling called to it, and use the Divine Time Oracle deck, and I'll add that to my note that I make for myself so that I can keep up with the reading and what I'm doing. But I'll pull a card just to see what it says as far as like a timeline for you for when you may find someone who matches that energy. All right, what do we need to know from the Cosmic Record deck? Duality. The universe reminds you that reason and emotion are 2 sides of the same coin. We talked earlier about thoughts and emotions. Don't rely solely on one. Remember, I've talked about balancing. Balancing both leads to clearer decisions. Embrace the calm of reason while acknowledging the power of emotion. Absolutely. So it's being able to understand that thoughts and feelings are not always fact. And understanding that it's okay to feel your emotions and honor those emotions, but it's also good for us to communicate. If we feel like something's not right with somebody, we need to ask them and say, this is how I'm feeling. What are your thoughts? Whatever that is. And then if it's still off, setting those boundaries. So you also being able to be assertive in how you feel, or tell people how you feel. Not putting yourself on the back burner because you want to minimize the possibility of you ending a relationship. If the friendship relationship is meant to be, like I said, there are going to be times you're not going to agree with the person, but you're going to be able to talk about it. You're going to be able to work through it. It's not going to feel like you're the one doing all the work or always adapting to what the other person wants or needs. Anything else from the cosmic record? We'll do a couple more shuffles. And one more. No, nothing else is coming out, although the bottom is calling to me, and that is open up. Do not fear to feel the emotions and intentions of others. This is exactly what I was saying. Discernment, paying attention to your intuition and how you feel about things. You're being called to embrace the goodwill of those around you, for only in trust can the deeper beauty of life reveal itself. When you release fear and doubt and accept the care of others, the universe will respond in unexpected ways, leading you forward to a richer life experience. It's also trusting yourself, but being able to open up to trusting that you can discern whether people are really in it for you, whether they're supportive of you, whether they have similar beliefs to you, or that even if you don't believe the same thing, that the two of you can work through it and communicate about it. And so you don't want to carry, this is where we talked about releasing these past hurts. You don't want to carry these wands or swords with you. You don't want to keep being in that state where you feel the two of swords or the guilt card, where you're feeling like when you are yourself, or when you do express yourself, or when something goes wrong, it feels like everything's put on you, or that you have to be the one that does things a certain way. It's okay for you to be yourself. But the big message here is definitely being able to find that confidence within yourself, to just be yourself, and to trust that you are going to be led to people who have good intentions for you. I do still feel like with this person that you may meet who seems like a guide, trust yourself in that one. If they seem trustworthy to you, not just other people, then it could be okay. Because having someone, a counselor, a coach, a spiritual contact, something like that could be helpful. Absolutely. Or trainings, things like that. But just be discerning, because something's feeling a little off about someone that may come into your path. All right, so before I do these Divine Time Oracle, what is a time frame that Jimmy can focus on for being able to really make an authentic connection? I find this with the Divine Timing deck. Sometimes I'm not going to use this because if it's meant to come out, it will, but they just kind of flipped over because I was looking up and I have small hands. But I find sometimes with the Divine Timing deck, it will give me these no answer or vague answers. So what flipped over is 2 months from now. Now, keep in mind that that's if you're focused on really looking at what are experiences that you want to be involved in, trusting yourself to discern and evaluate if people really are the people for you, and being able to focus on letting go of those past things. 2 months from now. So that's when you may meet someone. It doesn't mean the relationship or friendship or whatever develops that quickly, but it may take that long to find a circle. And then 6 months from now came out, and on the bottom of the deck we've got no need to hurry and let it happen organically. More patience is required. So, and then we get within a couple of months. So I feel like, again, the 2 months from now and within a couple of months, the first and the last card that I've pulled out. So things are going to start moving around that time within a couple of months from now. So right now we're in June, July, August. So around the fall, And again, I'm seeing like events or activities, something. So it may be that you meet people in that space that, but again, just understand, and maybe it grows into a little bit more, like it gets better around 6 months. So after that, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. So we're looking at sometime next year for things to maybe feel a bit more solid. But also, again, there's no need to hurry. If it's true, if it's authentic, if it's a good situation, a good friendship, a good tribe, a good relationship, it's going to happen organically. You're going to find people, and it's not looking for them necessarily, but it's meeting them and feeling their energy, feeling that connection, talking to them. And that doesn't necessarily mean meeting in person. It can be online as well. There's not a definitive answer on that one, although I am in my mind seeing you like at places, like going out and meeting people. But definitely being patient is what the cards are saying. So I hope that was helpful. We are at 51 minutes just now. Like I said, I'm not very good at short readings. So I know that was a lot of information. But I will be taking this recording, reversing the image so that you can see things the way that you would need to, instead of the way the front-facing camera reverses them and puts them backwards. Then I will upload it to YouTube under an unlisted private link. And so with that, I have access to it just because it'll be in my YouTube stuff, which is good if you have any questions and I need to come back to the reading, because I don't always remember what I said in a reading. But it also means that you've got that link that you can go back to, and you are the only one other than me that would have access to that video unless you were to share the link with someone else. All right, I hope you take care. Have a wonderful weekend, and thank you so much.